Okay, we're going to look quickly, hopefully, at manipulation of formula. So manipulation of formula is about taking a formula or an identity or an expression or an equation of some sort that we're given and manipulating it to rewrite it in terms of some other variables and making a particular variable the subject is sometimes what they call it. So they talk about making one variable the subject. That just means that we want to have that variable equal to all of the other variables. So it's just really important when doing these questions that we really pay attention to what the question is asking us. So what variable does it want to be the subject, and what variable does it want us to have it in terms of? Because sometimes there might be two of these in a question, and maybe they want you to use the answer for the first one in the second one, and things like that. The key thing with manipulation of formulas is to follow the same rules as equations. So what we do to one side, we have to do to the other side. This idea of looking at where the variable is and trying to undo what's happened to it is kind of similar to equations, and it's the same idea. We want to isolate the variable on its own. So the few steps I've said here, and that particularly is true if the variable is in more than one term, we gather those terms on one side, we factorize out the variable, and then we divide both sides by that resulting bracket. But that's of course only if it's in more than one term. Otherwise, we gather that particular variable on one side on its own, we try and move everything to the other side, and we divide if there's anything multiplied by that variable. So we'll see kind of how it works with this example here. If v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as, express a in terms of vu and s. So let's see, we're expressing a in terms of the other ones. So my goal at the end here is to have a is equal to something. So let's just look at the few variables that we have. Let's set it out. It's v squared is equal to u squared plus 2as. So first of all, that u squared, I want to bring that across. So we'll bring that across there, 2as. Then I just need to get rid of the 2s. V squared minus u squared over 2s equals to a. And we've now expressed a in terms of the other three variables there. Okay, so fairly quick one to get us going. Looking at the next example, x over y equals a plus b over a minus b. Express a in terms of the other variables. So again, we want a equals something. A little bit more complicated this time though. So we have x over y equals a plus b over a minus b. So I'm going to focus first of all on the bottom parts of the fractions there. So I want to get rid of those. So say first of all, if I focus on the a minus b, I might choose to multiply each side by a minus b, and that's going to eliminate the a minus b there. And then I might multiply each side by y to get rid of the y there. Now you may be able to go straight from this step to this step by cross multiplying, but you just have to remember with cross multiplication that only happens when we have one fraction equal to another fraction. And really what I've done there is just break that down into two steps, and that just avoids us maybe making any mistakes. So if we kind of separate this out, ax minus bx equals ay plus by, we're trying to get a on its own. So we're going to bring all the a terms over to one side and anything else over to the other side. Then factoring out a there, I get x minus y equals bx plus by. And lastly, I'm going to divide across by that x minus y. X minus y there. Okay, the only other thing I could possibly do there if I wanted to go a step further is just factor out that b on the top, but it's not actually going to help me there. I can't divide anything in or anything like that. But again, we've expressed a in terms of the other variables. So it's all just about really undoing what has happened to the equation at every particular stage, whatever's happening to that letter. So we look at one more example from the we've one or two more examples. Looking at this one from the 2023 paper, for the real numbers h, j, and k, express k in terms of h and j. So again, we want to get k on its own. So let's see, j plus k here. We're going to multiply across. I'm going to just do it all in kind of one step here. So we're multiplying both of the bottom sides of the fractions up to either side there. We're going to gather anything that has a k. So j is hk minus k. J equals h. Let me see, I'm going to factor out that k, so I'll put it first here. H minus 1. And we get a total of k equals j over h minus 1. k equals j over h minus 1. Okay, and that was as far as you had to go. This last example then just shows us, I suppose, one extra step that we can have with these ones, which is maybe to sub in a particular value. So the first part says make or the subject of p equals q or over q minus or. So p equals q or over q minus or. Same idea again, I can rewrite that as p times q minus or equals q or. So that's pq minus p or equals q or. PQ being equal to P or plus Q or. And again here I can factor out or and get P plus Q, and I get PQ over P plus Q equal to or. Okay, as my end result there. Okay, same thing then with part 2. Given that z is equal to 3y plus 2 over y minus 1, express y in terms of z. So again, we just want to rewrite. So we're going to multiply up z times y minus 1 equals 3y plus 2. zy minus z equals 3y plus 2. So obviously we want to try and gather anything that has a y part. So zy minus 3y equals z plus 2. We'll take out the y parts. Z minus 3 equals z plus 2. And we get y is equal to z plus 2 over z minus 3. And the last part of that question was hence find the value when z is equal to a half. So we'll sub in a half there. And again, this is something you could do for yourself in your calculator. So a half plus 2, so 2 is 4 over 2, so 5 over 2 here. And on the bottom, 3 is 6 over 2, so that's minus 5 over 2. And that just gives me an answer of minus 1 there. Okay, so that's kind of the general idea, I suppose, that we have with most of these questions and with this manipulation of formula. The only other style that we can really have would be one maybe where we have something like x is equal to square root of y minus 2 over x plus y, and we have to rewrite that. We want to rewrite y in terms of x. So obviously to get rid of the square root, the first thing I would do would just be square both sides. Y minus 2 over x plus y, then multiply up accordingly. X squared times x plus y equals y minus 2. And then from there on, it's really just the same steps that we've had. We gather anything that has a y together. X squared y minus y equals minus 2 minus x cubed. Factor out y, x squared minus 1 minus 2 minus x cubed. Y being equal to minus 2 minus x cubed over x squared minus 1. So the only difference there being just to square both sides at the start. Okay, but that is the general idea with manipulation of formulas. So we start by kind of highlighting and identifying what the variable we want to write in terms of, or what the one we want to make a subject of the equation is, and then we just do our best to get that equation, to get that variable on its own, to get them on their own on the one side, and then factor out if we have to. If it's in more than one term, we need to factor it out and divide across them by whatever bracket we get in the end results there.